Hello. I suppose for most people, they feel that it is their birthday, which helps to remind them that they are 1 year older. The week before my birthday, July the 7th, there is an event that really does make me feel that 1 year has passed and I am 1 year older. It is the opening of the Festival of San Fermin in Pamplona, famously known for the running of the bulls. And why do I care about that ridiculous event? The northern part of Spain is that I went there and took part in the bull running 2001. So that every July the 7th, when the news pops up in the media and you see those madmen with the white clothes and the red neckerchiefs running in the street, the very narrow cobblestone street of Pamplona, I was there. And it fills me with disbelief and mild dread. I would have been 27 going on 28, but it was something very significant, very, very strongly tied up for me with my idea of Europe and literature. I am amazed at how I accomplished it. All I had for this trip, I had a plane ticket from Budapest to Madrid. That's all. The return ticket, I think it was for maybe 10 days later. That was all I had. I didn't have any accommodation, zero. And I know the date, it was July the 3rd. It was funny too, like there were just so many, I miscalculated the time of my departure and I realized that I was, like when I got to the airport, they told me, run to the gate. This was 2 months before the September 11 actions in 2001, so the airports were still a bit free and easy. Those days will never come back. And I remember I had this, one of those massive, those huge backpacks that the backpackers have, and I sprinted through the Madrid airport like a maniac. So I ran to the gate, I jumped on the plane, I flew to Madrid, I got off the plane and I went to the information desk and I said, "Hi, could you find me a room in a youth hostel or a bed in a youth hostel for tonight? And the next day I will go to Pamplona by bus." And he looked at me and he said, there's no beds in Madrid on July the 3rd. This is the high season for tourism and tomorrow is the largest holiday in America. And he called around to all the youth hostels and he said, there is a bed in a hostel. I said, okay, fine, I want it. And he gave me the directions, he gave me a city map. I went down to the metro station and it was a 1 kilometer walk from the metro station to the youth hostel. Now what they don't tell you is that 1 kilometer is where, at least in 2001, that was the 1 kilometer where all of the prostitutes stood. In the daytime, there were not very many, but there were a few on the day shift. And at night, there were easily dozens, if not even 100 prostitutes standing on the side of the motorway. And as it got later into the night, they would actually stand in the street. Quite sickeningly, the next day, that whole 1 kilometer, it was filled with, at first I couldn't make out what it was. It looked like hundreds and hundreds of jellyfish. They weren't jellyfish, they were used condoms all over the place. So I went to the youth hostel. I slept in a bed in a room with 3 strangers. The next day I got up, went to the bus station, got a ticket for the bus, got on the bus. I'm actually quite a shy person. I'm not very gregarious and I don't make friends very quickly. But I was quite sure of getting accommodation in Madrid, but I didn't know if I would be able to get anything in Pamplona. But I was going there several days early. It's July the 4th now and the festival starts on the 7th. So I took the bus and I got on the bus, and as I was walking along the bus, I said, "Do you have accommodation in Pamplona? Can I stay with you?" "No." "Do you have accommodation in Pamplona? Can I stay with you?" "No." And I asked everyone, every single person. I even asked a priest. Yeah, and move on to the next one. And eventually I met an American man who said yes. He said that there is a chance that where he is staying, there will still be beds available. And if I would like to come with him, there is a possibility I might be able to find something. That was the best offer I had. And I said, okay, I'm with you. He took me to a school for blind children that had all of the desks and the chairs all piled and stacked up at one end of the apartment, and mattresses were laid down everywhere. This man, Carlos, was renting out mattresses by the night. There was a mattress for me. It was just the luckiest trip I've ever had. I was lucky in Madrid. I was lucky in Pamplona. On the first day of the festival, after kind of hanging around a bit aimlessly for a few days, I ran with the bulls. The second day of the festival, I had such a crippling hangover that I couldn't even get out of bed. And I ran again with the bulls on the third day of the festival. They run the bulls, I think, for 5 or for 7 days. What you may not know about the bull running is that it takes place at 8 o'clock in the morning. This accommodation I had, it was actually right on the route. You could jump out into the crowd at the very last minute. And that's what I did on the first day. But I wasn't very happy with that. I wanted to be actually much closer to the action. On the first day of the bull running, I was standing, watching, waiting. There would be this wave of people, and I thought, okay, here come the bulls. And then there would be another much larger wave of people, and I think, okay, here come the bulls. And then there would be this tidal wave of panicked faces, and it's just so unbelievably dangerous because people are running frantically and they're looking over their shoulders. The possibility for tripping and falling is incredible. And people are constantly tripping and falling. And the advice is, if you trip and fall, don't jump up, cover your head, and just wait for everything to calm down. That's the advice. I'm standing there, I'm waiting. There's a wave, there's another wave, and then there are enormous wild animals, 300, 400, maybe even 500 kilograms of muscle and horn and hoof. And then what happens is a little bit of a miracle. Like there will be about 100 people in a doorway that normally, if 3 people were standing in that doorway, they'd find it a bit uncomfortable at how close they were to the other 2. But in this case, there's 50 men cowering in a doorway. If you want to get in that doorway, you have to get in there. And that's all you can do. On the third day of the festival, it was raining. Of the 2 days that I ran with the bulls, the first day was by far the most dangerous because there were just thousands and thousands and thousands of people. On the third day of the festival, the number of people was cut in half because the idea is that people stay away because they feel that the ground is slippery when it rains. What happens is, before the bull running, is that the cleanup crew comes and they spray all the streets to spray all of the glass debris off of the bull running course. So the ground is wet anyway. On the third day of the bull running, I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning because I didn't want to be pushed down some side street and eliminated. I wanted to be there. This is a horrible thing to do. You have to stand waiting for 1 hour to risk your life in the silliest, most ridiculous way that you probably ever will in your entire life. You have to stand there with all of the crazy people from all around the world. There are lots of Australians, there's Irish, there's Americans, there's British. The lunatics from all around the world come to run with the bulls. And it's nice if you get in with some Australians because they're always very friendly and buoyant and trying to keep the spirits up. But you can see some people really trembling with fear. It's those kind of pale-faced, sweaty people who you look at them and you think, oh, that person's still drunk and they should probably not be here. Very much like in the novel that I'm talking about, I found the festival just exhausting. So the bull running takes place at 8 o'clock in the morning and it's over in about 10 minutes. And then you have 23 hours of festival, and it's just, there are these traveling brass bands, people are throwing water off of the balconies, groups of people on the street are calling for water from the balcony people. They're just people drinking everywhere in the really hot Spanish sun. It's mayhem. And after I ran with the bulls on the third day, I got on a bus and I went to the most beautiful city I've ever been in, and that is San Sebastian. San Sebastian is just the most gorgeous city I've ever seen. All right, now I want to talk about the book which inspired this festival to become such a worldwide phenomenon. And this book has 2 names. The American title of the book that you're probably more familiar with, The Sun Also Rises. The European title of the novel is Fiesta. I am a huge fan. It is the story of Jacob Barnes, who is a hard-boiled American expatriate who is a newspaperman working in Paris. He has several friends. This is the jazz age, and everybody's going out at night. They're going to brick tops to listen to jazz and to dance all night. And into the story comes the Jewish character Robert Cohn. He causes a lot of trouble. There's the third character, what's her name? Lady Brett Ashley, that's it. Cohn falls in love with Lady Ashley, and she's a drinker, and she's a social butterfly, and she sleeps with men when she feels like it. You know, if she wants to go on a little holiday and she wants some male accompaniment, she'll choose one of her suitors and they will go away together. She's quite free and easy in that regard. However, it seems that Jacob, who's kind of the Hemingway character here, and Lady Ashley, they seem to be in love, but Jacob received a war injury where it's alluded to. We don't know the exact nature of the injury, but it's something that he can't have sex. I don't know what got cut off or what got severed, but he can't do it, and that's why he and Brett Ashley can't be happy together, because they can't have sex. And they both know that while it's a nice idea for them to have a relationship, it just can't work. And they go down to Pamplona for this festival where they have the bull running. I do want to tell you about the middle part of the book, because the first time I read the novel, there's the bit in Paris, very good, very exciting, jazz age stuff, you know, the blueprint for that. There's the end of the book, which is the festival in Pamplona where all the action takes place. But then there's this middle bit where the main character goes on this trout fishing holiday. And it's very slow, and it seems very much outside of the main action. Like, we don't really need that bit. And it slows down the action incredibly. And as I read the book over and over, I like the trout fishing bit more and more, because it gives a break to the action and because it slows everything down. And I think that's quite important, because even though they want it to be like that nowadays, especially with the movie philosophy, like get to the action, a novel is not a movie. A novel, there can be fast bits and you can slow it down, make them wait for it. So I really do enjoy that. So if you do end up reading Fiesta or The Sun Also Rises, try not to be too annoyed with the slow middle bit. Try to enjoy it, because I love that bit. I think that's my favorite part of the novel now. So in this book has a little bit of everything to offend just about everyone. The anti-Semitism in the book is somewhat strong. I think at one point they say to the Jewish character, you should stay with your own people and you shouldn't be mixing with us. Yeah, that's a bit strong. The homophobia it's there. It's not too major, but there is a certain point at the beginning of the novel where some gay men arrive at a party, a nightclub. They start dancing with one of the girls that someone has brought, and Jacob, the Hemingway character, says, "Oh, I know you should find those people amusing, but I wanted to swing on them." Not because they've offended him or they've done anything to him. He just wants to punch him because he's gay. What else? That's not the only thing. Oh, I think in about chapter 6, this character comes back from his holiday to Vienna, and he uses the N-word about maybe 4 dozen times in the space of about 5 pages. Yeah, there's a lot over and over and over again. It's a bit much. I don't find it offensive. I look at it as a product of its time. It is okay to be shocked and surprised and like, wow, that's a bit strong. That's when you flip to the front and you see, okay, it was published in 1924. People's ideas about the world were much different, and here is evidence of that. And there are some books not books that offend me, like maybe some scenes, or maybe I think, okay, that author takes it a bit far for my tastes. Even that is okay. It is okay to be offended. You can be offended. I wonder about people who, they have this idea like being offended is some kind of a painful action. I find it surprising that I have allowed something to offend me. I find it curious, like, oh, I'm taking that rather seriously, aren't I? Surprised at my ability to be offended. Does it hurt me? No. Does it hurt my sensibilities? No. I may say to you that I don't enjoy the book. There was a book I read earlier this year. I thought it went too far for my tastes, and I wouldn't recommend it to people based on my opinions of what I think is good literature, but to each his own. Be offended, but don't take it personally. Don't take it too seriously. Don't be afraid of being offended. And one of the reasons I went to Pamplona was because I knew I would be doing something incredibly dangerous and incredibly risky, and I wanted to know if I could do it and survive. Not just the bull run. I wanted to know if I could find accommodation for myself in Madrid with nothing. I wanted to know how I would get to Pamplona. I didn't know if I would take a bus or I would take a train. I had no idea. There was a very strong chance I might be sleeping under a tree or under a bush when I got to Pamplona. And a lot of people did. Like they had this, like in one of the corners of the city, they had this like public lockers and showers. And I thought, okay, I'll make use of that. And it was just hundreds of people standing in a queue. And I thought, well, okay, I guess I won't do that. Don't be offended by what you read in literature. It's a book. Actually, I just found a copy of the Marquis de Sade in a secondhand store, and I don't think anyone realized what it was. This massive collection of the most frank, perhaps even medical descriptions of pornographic situations. There it is in the secondhand store. I think I'll buy that, to give it to safe home. The Sun Also Rises. Should you read it? Yes. Absolutely. Is the whole reason that the Pamplona Festival every July the 7th is what it is. And I have that gear somewhere in a box. I have my red belt and I have my red neckerchief and I have my white t-shirt that was given to me by my English students at the time. You could see in the picture I'll show you that the t-shirt I'm wearing actually has these words across the chest. It says non-stop. In Hungary, the convenience stores, the 24-hour shops, are called non-stop shops. We call them 24 hours, they call them non-stop. I just used to find it endlessly amusing that, because when North American people see the adjective non-stop, like we always think that it's followed by the word action, right? Non-stop action, non-stop adventure, like a Hollywood thriller. I could never suppress a grin. Non-stop shop. All right, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening to my story of Pamplona. Well, I guess when you're an old man and you have the stories that you would like to tell people, get your own YouTube channel and then you talk to the camera and you can tell your stories, right? All right, that's enough for me today. Thanks for watching. I don't even find it offensive. There's a character going N-word, 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 N-word. Oh, those Jews, they shouldn't, they should stick to their own kind. Are you offended? It's words in a book. These are characters. Like, you have to know that Hemingway realizes what he's doing. Like, he's doing it to give you impressions of those characters. It's not Hemingway saying, here is my opinion of those people. It's Hemingway trying to paint a character vividly, so that you understand the way that character is thinking, to understand the actions that they will take in the story. It's not a basis for how society works in today's world. Don't be offended. Don't tell me that book offended you. Pamplona is just overrun with tourism. Like it is just, like I was there in 2001 and it seemed impossible. And I cannot even imagine what it would be like today. You can't wear sandals because on the first day of the festival, all of the glass in the city is broken. All of the beer glasses, all of the wine glasses, beer bottles are constantly being smashed. Very large bottles of sangria are being smashed and the city stinks. It stinks of like beer and wine and piss just everywhere. It stinks and there's just broken glass, and they have this constant team of cleaners who just go along with fire hoses, spraying the broken glass into the gutters. And one other thing they don't tell you about the bull running is that you have to get there early, about 1 hour early, because what they do is most of the people are going to gather in the main city square. The cleanup crew and the police and the safety people are going to block off all of the exits while they clean the route. This also has another positive benefit of cutting down the number of people who are running, because that's their main objective, to have as few people running with the bulls as possible, because the more people running, the more accidents will happen. So they try to, a bit secretly, sort of say, okay, all right, everybody, please move back, move back, move back. All right, go down that alley. We're going to clean this. And then they put a big partition in front of that alley. So if you got shoved down that alley to You know, while they were cleaning the main street, you were essentially eliminated from the bull running now. They don't tell you that.